was also corruption. But you can see from this list that I'm giving you of leaders that are standing in front of the people, you will be hard-pressed, Ayub, to find a leader that is able to elucidate policy, that has a scorecard that is enviable. All of these guys have perfected the art of manipulation. I think Honorable Etangula is there as well. They're all in the same category. And that's why the country is literally stuck, because there's no way people that have practiced this kind of, stagnation, politics for 30 years, can now come up with quick solutions to all these big challenges. You can see even as they speak there, it's just rhetoric. They're at a loss as to what to do. So they're just wealthy men standing there, addressing the crowd, making promises. Can you imagine we're still talking about Kazi kwa Vijana? Something that was there under the Prime Minister's office 10 years ago.
Grand Coalition government.
That it's not really clear what it delivered. So there are no deliverables. And this is really, really, I've seen Kimemia sitting there. You'd be really at pains to pick out even 3 national figures. And I challenge my co-panelists to table some names.
Yes, come in.
Including Gideon Moi, by the way, as you laugh here.
Maybe I should have said from the outset that I'm a proud member of KANU, or KANU Fresh.
Oh, Jogo.
Yes.
Okay.
So that, and KANU as it is today, His Excellency Gideon Moi has taught us to exercise what is called...
Gideon is not excellency yet. I like being very respectful and following protocol.
Maybe the
he's honorable. He's a senator.
Well, they accord him that within the party precinct.
Yes.
Maybe.
And
yes.
you need to appreciate that.
No, but his father is, but he's not.
Yes.
When you're, like, he's a brilliant chairman. When you do that, that becomes dishonest.
That's only for the president.
I don't think we should place premiums on side shows. So that if I call Gideon Moi, His Excellency, he is.
Well, I think
it
it qualifies. And
away from that.
It's not.
To be fair,
it's like me saying Ayub is His Royal Highness, in which case that title is for the Queen, the King, the Prince, etc. It's just it comes to honesty.
How does that...
It's honesty. No, it's honesty. HRH is HRH.
Well, Benji, that does not...
H is
HE, and HE is the senior Moi. Let's go ahead, please.
Yes, be that as it may,
go ahead, please.
Is that as we speak today, KANU as a party and as a government in waiting has placed premiums on realization of Article 43 of the Constitution.
Which is?
Which is social justice. That our people should be able to access clean water, healthcare, food, housing, in a manner that, of course, uplifts
consumer rights.
Standard, the standard of living in this country.
Okay.
Because in our estimation as a party, we have audited where we are politically and socially. Chapter 4 of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is so progressive that today no right is denied in this country, especially civil and political rights. So that as a party, we are keen on socioeconomic and cultural rights. Can our people be able to afford food? Can our people be able to afford clean water? Can our people be able to afford education? Can a young person in this country start business and the government does not skim off 20% of that business? Can you have an idea and implement that idea and transform lives courtesy of that idea? Those are the things that KANU government and KANU as a party, KANU as a party and of course a government in waiting, are passionate about today. So that,
but there are concerns about your grandstanding, isn't it, in terms of how deep-rooted you are, because we have seen or witnessed a lot of inconsistencies when it comes to the loyalty that you pledged. In 2017, you at some point say we support NASA to Kondani Kabisa, and then you crossed over to the political end of the divide. You supported President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election. Now you are on the BBI board. To be fair enough, the party seems to be heading in the wayward direction in the event that we are to follow your series of previous standings politically on
and they also got nothing.
Which
side you belong, especially politically.
The first thing I must say is that a week is a long time in politics. That the KANU of 2017 is not the KANU of 2020. For the past 2 years, since when I've been in KANU, the party has done so much internally to rebrand, to reorganize, to reposition itself, as a government in waiting, as a mass movement that is going to answer the needs of the ordinary mwananchi in this country.
But how do you convince Kenyans that in 24 years' time, under the senior Moi administration, where killings happened, the country's economy was looted, literally, I mean, Anglo-leasing scandal, at some point 10% of the GDP entirely went to the Anglo-leasing scandal before Musalia Mudavadi was appointed minister by the senior Moi, that is Toroitich Arap Moi. And then in 1992, after the first elections of the multi-party democracy, Human Rights Watch, in a report afterwards in 1992, said the YK92, which is the youth wing, among them the DP William Ruto was accused of mass, human rights violations, including, torture, including frustrations politically.
Detention without trial.
Detention without trial.
You can't run away from
no
the
charges.
record.
And that led to Moi's re-election and then the allegations of rigging in the 1997 elections. So how do you convince Kenyans today that you are rebranding and you want to seek power and authority when 24 years' time, Kenya's economy went to the dogs, we were on the abyss until even the international community was worried to the extent that we were sanctioned because of multi-party democracy?
You can't run away from
We
yourself.
are not just rebranding. At least not in the form.
How do you...
Hold the thought,
how do you...
Just hold the thought. Just hold the thought.
I don't want diversions.
Okay.
Because... straightforward question, because I want an answer to it.
Yes.
My point is then, you said you want to assume power, isn't it?
Yes.
I mentioned a lot of things, economically, socially, and politically. Killings happened. Robert Ouko, J.M. Kariu, the likes of many killings that happened in 80s and 90s after the Fuel coup in 1982. A lot happened.
Yes.
And Moi Senior was accused for that.
Yes.
Rigging happened.
Yes.
Because the elections were not free, fair elections. Kenyans were coerced to vote along party lines until some lifetime members like Francis Atwoli were not even willing to allow Kenya to be a multi-party democracy. They say we have to go this way until Mzee, under the pressure of the international community, that is Mzee Moi, said that we need to go for this because even if in the event we don't do this, then economically we will be off the curve. If you are to lead Kenyans, if you are to be given the mandate, how do you reclean or cleanse your past dented scorecard politically?
Thank you.
They say Mgala muwe na haki mpe. The first thing you must agree that President Moi was gracious enough to realize that the days of single-party system had been overtaken by events. And it was in his wisdom that he said that, okay, folks, let's go multi-party when everybody else was thinking that single-party system still held vogue. Away from that is that we must also appreciate that KANU has been out of power for 17, 18, 2 decades. A generation away, since KANU left power. It's therefore a demonstration that, are Kenyans any better? There is greater hopelessness today, in my estimation, than it was then because the cost of living has skyrocketed tremendously. The KANU we're talking about today is KANU fresh, the KANU of the Kidimwagas of this world. The folks you are talking about, Kalonzo Musyoka, is no longer in KANU. That was the organizing secretary then. People like William Ruto are no longer in KANU. So the KANU we have today is a KANU of sane, disciplined young men and women who wants to reclaim their country.
And who have an uphill task to turn around the legacy, the past legacy.
Because remaking our country is not a walk in the park, and we are alive to that fact.
Okay, but equally, while corruption still seems to be the main problem, poverty alongside education, illiteracy, as was the case with the problems that
perpetrated by those in power, all
the same though, the problems that the first cabinet in 1964 experienced is what we experience in 2020, and in 24 years' time, the same problems even intensified under the watch of Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, to the extent that in 2001, in the build-up to the elections, that he sought some sort of refuge from President Bush, that if he can be guaranteed safety, then he's willing to leave power. Yes, Mike.
Let me say something. One,
yes.
KANU is not on trial here.
Yes.
And we are going to lose very important points.
Well, it was just a matter of clarification, because it's my role as the
Benji said something very important, which I want
please.
to talk about here. There is this concept of performance-based contracting in the civil service. Why don't we have it in elective office? Because when you see the same fellows year in, year out, every electoral cycle is the same faces.
Mark timing.
Then you can see that they are obsessed with three things. After every election, they are obsessed with reinventing themselves, maintaining visibility, and maintaining relevance. And yet they have nothing to show
to offer
for their
years
in office.
Okay.
That is a serious thing that should be addressed by Kenyans.
That's a starting point.
That's it. Because yesterday we saw them in Kitui. Was it on Saturday? Same fellows.
Yep.
They are the same cast we saw even in 2017. They are the
Exactly.
same cast we saw in 2013. And
Exactly.
they've been there. And I
That's
like,
why I talk about political revolution.
yes.
I've talked about it here.
Ideology policies.
Yes, completely.
Yes.
We should be very
You cannot milk a stone.
skeptical about people who say different things every electoral cycle.
Yes.
And you know, now they are even singing reggae in rallies and dancing and making us all dance, even those of us who love Ohangla instead. It is their way of reinventing themselves and becoming relevant. They are doing it. And you know what? We are clapping and dancing along with them.
And the voter is to blame.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
what he's talking about is called
Just hold the
gimmickry.
thought so that if he
Yes.
not distract his
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, please. Finish.
So what I want to say is this. As a country, we should really be ready to hold our politicians to account.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We should, because they cannot keep lying to us year in, year out. That now we are now entering Canaan, or whatever it means metaphorically or realistically. It is important that we hold our leaders to account.
Okay.
Whether they are in KANU, or they are in Jubilee, or they are in
Or in
ODM,
ODM.
or whatever.
Okay.
It's important that we hold them to account to prove to us what they've been doing. Why have they not done these things all these years?
Okay.
Because there's no newcomer in the current cast. All of them have been there.
Okay, the same players within the political establishment. And that has been the question, the concern as to why we have had an increase in the number of political parties and players ever since the repeal of the Section 2A of the Constitution, but less in service delivery, substantive and tangible issues that affect the common mwananchi, the economy, bread and butter issues, transport, roads, cancer centers, and issues that are of importance to the common mwananchi. Let's see the break, come back, and afterwards hear from the other speakers in Kitui County who spoke over the weekend on Saturday, and take a look at the cartoon edition of the Daily Nation this Monday morning. The number is 0791478990. The hashtag on Twitter is NewDayKE. The short SMS code is 40920. Stay tuned. We're coming back after the short break. Welcome back. Thank you. You're watching the program. This is NewDayKE. That is the hashtag on Twitter. The short SMS code is 40920. The number is 0791478990. Still discussing the matters that pertain what's developing in the country. That is, of course, the Building Bridges Initiative popularization campaigns across the country. Next, the caravan will be heading to Wote in Makueni County. But first, before we do that, let's take a look at the cartoon edition of the Daily Nation this Monday morning. And it pertains, of course, the revolving door, the entry, of course, which is equally the exit here for the political establishment in the country, the creation of new positions, new term. And of course, the finished term is the point with which the revolver door is revolves rather around. It means then that there's no change, the same players in the establishment, the same particular problems affecting Kenyans, no solution inside. And the question remains whether the BBI can address that particular issue. Then the politician walking in the sky blue suit has a briefcase, probably presumably carrying cash, and how that has affected the political establishment in the country in terms of funding and fueling ethnic politics in the country, and how that has been present ever since we gained independence in 1963. Gentlemen, and coming to you first, Benji here. Before we went on break, we have been talking about that. The issue about ideology policy that has been lacking, which has been completely absent from the mathematical political equation in the country, and the wonderland, the promises that they make during their pledges. President Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, instead of 9 stadiums, we have had the laptop project, the stadiums to be completed on time. He has 2 years, and he has to implement, projects worth 3.1 trillion Kenya shillings. That is an impossible task if he is, of course, to leave a legacy in 2022. And he, of course, becomes, again, yet another part of the political establishment player who has failed on his pledges.
It's possible if you're focused. You must be cut from a different cloth. All of these politicians cut their teeth in KANU. In KANU is where they learned the common thread. The common thread all these people have, including Atwoli, is they have a lot of money. The common thread that they have is that they use gimmickry. They use parables and music and dancing to enchant the masses. And the sum total of all of this misrule and misgovernance is increased poverty. I was at a place yesterday afternoon near industrial area. I think it's just called Kijiji. And it's just unbelievable, Ayub. We talk about this every week on this show. Slums are growing in Kenya.
Yeah, exponentially.
Slums are growing in Kenya. And a slum has no water system.
Electricity.
A slum has no sewer system. A slum has no legal connection for electricity, as well as egress ways where a fire truck can go through and put out a fire. Nobody talks about this. Why? Because they don't live in the slum. I'm one of the few analysts or leaders that is bringing this issue to the front. And it is from this slum, that, by the way, that they get all these young boys that run around in the hot sun to do these so-called rallies. We must talk about it. It's never gonna work. It's never gonna work. The population is growing. We have not recalibrated our politics. Our politics is about entertainment. It's impoverishing the people. You talked about KANU at length.
Yep.
So KANU is rebranding itself, but guess what? Its legacy of failure is so deep that it is, number one, difficult for it to run away from itself. And number two, you know, the president is the immediate former chairman of KANU. So you can see that that legacy is enduring. Just imagine for a minute, Ayub, if President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, and he began very well. I'm old enough to remember the president building gabions, working hard, running around trying to fix his country, doing endless harambes. And remember, he was not a very sophisticated, educated fellow. Imagine if Toroitich had the stature of Nelson Mandela. Imagine if Raila Odinga had the stature of Nelson Mandela. Raila was headed that way. Look at Raila today. It's money, big money. Big issues in Kisumu. Governor Nyong'o is trying to do some things now, even with this new Kisumu Lakefront Development Committee, which has appointed the immediate former Auditor General, Edward Ouko. This is a bit of a light in the dark, because now people like Ouko are bringing networks, local donors and partners, a different language, you know what I'm talking about, competency, you see?
And the process is merit.
Meritorious, of course. This is an FCPA. This is the best Auditor General Kenya has ever had. Let us speak truth. Let me finish.
Okay,
Let me
let
finish.
him finish. I'll come to you.
Now, you can imagine in Kisumu, with the lake sitting there, Kidi knows, because it's his ancestral home, that Kisumu residents and Homa Bay residents and Siaya, etc., number one, buy water. He knows that the fish sector is riddled with problems. Therefore, poverty, diseases. He knows very well that hyacinth has continued to be a problem. Is anyone fixing this? No. What are they fixing? Are you calling Raila Baba? Are you standing? He knows. You know that better than me. But it is until we're willing to take a different route. And just imagine if this person now was the stature of Nelson Mandela, it would be, again, as we talked about at the beginning of this show, a legacy of service, a legacy of performance, inspiring. Michael now would be the next leader. But now what are we doing? Junet Mohammed and all these young leaders have come and realized how the game is played. So it is better, rather than be sharp, look at Babu Owino. Rather than be sharp and meritorious, it is better now to learn how to do reggae, how to do riddles, to make money, to play games, to have your networks in OP, to do tenders. That is what is going on. We will not stop saying it.
And blind political submission.
Absolutely.
Ayub, thank you. Thank you for your views, Brother Benji.
Are they accurate? Are they accurate?
I don't think so. But then it is also on me to decide. But then the first thing, I think we must be gracious enough not to just bandy words around. Because, for instance, Benji does not have the parameter of when Raila is having the Nelson Mandela stature and when he is losing it. When I don't know who is who and when he is losing it.
I guess you're not in Kenya when Miguna said he's a conman.
Hold the thought. I mean, Miguna is a charlatan. Don't you know that?
But how would he be a charlatan? How would he? Are you saying that the Prime Minister was advised by a charlatan?
Okay.
Let's not make
Finish up. You'll respond to you. You'll respond.
Let
to
me
him.
respond.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Miguna is a charlatan because he's mentioned Miguna. Why am I saying so? Miguna is someone who supported Raila Odinga with his blood in 2007 to 2010.
And in 2017.
The moment his bread was no longer buttered, he turned against this man. So that there is someone who does not have a soul, and if he does, then his soul is so dark that he does not know anything to do with keeping the things that
So Raila was sold in by a charlatan.
Hold the thought.
You must be serious.
Okay. No, we all have
You
trust
must
people.
be serious.
Okay.
We all trust people, not know, especially presuming that our engagement is predicated on good faith until they show us their true character.
Okay.
And Raila was gracious enough to permit Miguna back.
Okay.
And then when they fell out, then you have seen how Miguna has come out, insulting everyone and alluding that everyone is a zombie except himself. Away from that, our emergence and coming into politics is to author a new epoch. So that if our presence in politics and political spaces shall not author a new epoch, we have no business being here. And
You're talking as Kanu?
If you look, yes, I'm talking as Kanu.
Okay.
Because if you look at all these political parties and players, go to ODM, go to URP, go to whichever political party, whatever you think was the worst in Kanu moved to those parties. And what remained of Kanu is a clean party, a party that is repositioning itself to get into power and answer the questions of ordinary Mwananchi.
Okay. Okay, finish up.
How can Kanu and you be in the same lessons?
You want to ask?
Yes, go
Kanu
ahead,
and you
please.
cannot be in the same
Come in, of
sentence.
course.
Kanu is the past.
Okay. Yes, your
The past can never be new.
On the legacies.
Yep.
This country has very serious issues to deal with.
Absolutely.
And that is why we should not just deal with the peripheral matters. Miguna is a peripheral character.
Brilliant.
He should not even be engaging us here as we discuss serious issues. These are serious brains. To engage ourselves talking about those fellows does not help us at all. We have issues confronting this country today. We have issues of unemployment. We have issues of job losses. Companies are folding down.
Exactly.
Young people are graduating every day. Nowadays in Kenya, a month hardly passes
before graduation
a graduation ceremony in a university in Kenya. And where are all these fellows going? Nowhere.
On the streets.
They are on the streets. You can't believe it. Nowadays, you are given your papers and nobody wants to know where you're going. And they are all around. Even the degrees that used to guarantee you a job a long time ago.
Become.
They are not giving you anything.
And imagine if Al-Shabaab absorbs.
Yeah.
I've been the brains, and that's what they're exactly doing.
Exactly.
Yes, the new cause of terror.
Exactly.
In 2019, I had 4 young Kenyans who had studied law and could not get a place to do pupillage. In Kenya, during my time, those things never used to happen.
Exactly.
Getting pupillage was like automatic. You finish,
totally.
and before you even finish your final exams,
Absolutely.
you go somewhere, start doing your pupillage as you proceed. And
absorption was very high.
Today, young people are finishing their law degrees and they cannot even get pupillage. Is it not a crisis? Am I lying?
Well,
You're a lawyer.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. So Kenya is in a terrible situation. We should be dealing with some of these issues today. It's not that easy. People don't have those jobs. Manufacturing is one of the pillars of the Big Four agenda. I don't think we have made even a single step ever since we came up with the Big Four agenda in terms of manufacturing. Which manufacturing entity do you know has been initiated in Kenya since that time?
None.
None. You see? And we have young people, and we have old people, and we have systems that are not working. Look at the social protection system in this country. It's non-existent. People are dying from simple diseases.
Yes, forgotten generation,
yes.
especially the old.
Nowadays, if you fall ill, chances that you will die are very high.
Very high. Public health
Public health services collapsed.
Yeah, collapsed.
Our
services, farming.
Our doctors are also very busy in misdiagnosis
Yes.
because they are doing so many jobs at the same time. He's employed in Kenyatta.
He has a
He
private
has a
pharmacy.
clinic, and they're also on strike.
He's
All
got
at the
another
same time.
clinic at the private doctor's
Yes,
plaza.
and they're on strike.
He has a contract in Aga Khan,
Yes.
in Mata, in Mpisha. This one fellow.
Yes.
He wants to run around all this time. So when he comes and he says, so Kidimwaga says, I've got a headache, he just prescribes Panadol.
Yeah.
Not
All right.
knowing that it could just be a symptom of
And
something
charges you
else.
consultancy 2,000.
2000, and he moves on. We have this crisis that we should deal with Sheikh Ayub.
Yep.
It's not a simple thing.
And that is what we're bringing out in this specific show here, because it's important that Kenyans have proper healthcare system, there's proper education system, and equally there is a proper transport system.
Education
all
is in a
across the
shambles.
country.
And that's what I keep saying. This show, we're not here to posture or to just talk nice things
Yep.
that make the viewers,
Okay.
feel good about it.
Okay.
The reason we're holding people like Kanu to account is because we must go to the root cause of the problem,
in this country.
and in this country and talk about
Acknowledge,
the solutions.
acknowledge, because okay,
It's not a
I
personal
need to play a
attack.
bite here. I'll come and
A rejoinder?
okay, briefly.
Well,
Rejoinder or right of reply?
right.
You still have
play
right
the
to reply.
better, play the better, and then
There's no,
I'll-
no problem then, because it equally is an important element to mention the economy, and the strategy in the country has been imported capital finance consumption-led, which has led to the unsustainable debt level. The question is then that, aside from the BBI debate, aside from this entire energy and the temperatures of the BBI, how do we make Kenya resource mobilized, country productivity-led, export-oriented economy and end the begging bowl culture? That remains the question upon
Yeah, we should
the-
stop being an import-based economy.
Exactly. Well, here is what happened in Kitui County over the weekend on Saturday, and this, of course, was in regard to Gatunu South, Moses, a member of Parliament, Moses Kuria, who attended the rally, but this transpired.
Nobody will abuse Mheshimiwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta na aingie kwa mkutano wangu. Hakuna. Hakuna. Atolewe. Atolewe. Aende. Atoke. Eh?
Well, I take your final comments here on the program, and starting with Benji. First of all, Charity Gilu sounded so emollient, so reasonable, and there are some who believe that the handshake is becoming an umbrella for governors fleeing corruption charges implicated by the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate. The report says that more than 80% of former and current governors are facing jail terms. Has it provided a shelter for them? And do you view what happened to Moses Kuria as fundamentally unhealthy and unhelpful?
It's unhealthy in a democracy. It's unfortunate. Moses Kuria is no saint, so he also dishes out the same. But two wrongs don't make a right. Madam Gilu's tone was wanting. Her approach to show that kind of level of intolerance was wrong. The BBI caravan will be going around this country. All these politicians have followers. Moses Kuria has followers in Kiambu and Gatundu. We must not practice the cheap politics of sycophancy, where every time a governor or a public official has issues, they have to overtly demonstrate their loyalty by shouting louder than the next person. I've seen Nyoro, they're hardly 2 days old. We also have a misunderstanding of what power is in this country.
Okay.
Power is not strength and might and muscle to bully and harass.
Okay.
Power is also compassion. Power is also patience. To understand what the issue is, to be very civil and diplomatic and provide solutions. Because at the end of the day, as Mike was saying off camera, our children are also watching this.
Yeah.
And so what message are we sending to young kids who are watching, someone who's a head boy in school, and he feels, you know what, I'm a head boy,
I need to do that.
I'm going to beat to death the Form 1 who disrespects me. We also must not have this level of insecurity where the president demonstrates that he's very, very hurt by some MP abusing him. He's holding a public office. I get abused on social media every day. I don't care. You don't know me. You don't know the president to abuse. You don't eat his goat. You don't know his mom or his family, his wife. So some of these things, and in fact, I know we don't have a lot of time, but I challenge you, especially you, I know you like to read. Go and look at the discussion that was had by Mirugi Karaoke
Yes.
at the time in Kibaki's first year of presidency, where they sat in cabinet.
Okay.
And the Security Council raised an issue, which later, this is all documented, where later the president, His Excellency President, called Mirugi Kariuki, then I think Assistant Minister Internal Security, and asked him, by the way, who is Ndolo? The discussion had been about Ruben Ndolo. And Mirugi told him, Your Excellency, Honorable Ndolo is Mheshimiwa wa Makadara who abused you, etc., etc. And you know Kibaki's response, and I'm not Kibaki's lawyer, I'm not here to defend him. Kibaki said, but surely, gentlemen, why must you bring some of these things to cabinet? That is a non-issue. You don't know Kibaki to abuse him. That's a non-issue. It's like me saying I can have a fight here in Ebru because a cameraman has abused me. Are you kidding?
Okay.
There's nothing there to warrant this level of madness.
Okay.
We must learn those lessons.
It's democracy.
And we must be tolerant and we must have democracy. If you go and fight everybody who... Kimani Ngujiri was complaining that the president has come to his gate with 1,000 policemen. That's not necessary.
Okay.
We must be mature. We must move forward. President Uhuru is much larger than Kimani Ngujiri with the level B. He's the son of a president.
Okay.
Hakuna mtu anaweza kukutukana to warrant all this madness. It's just ridiculous.
Okay, Kidi Mwaga, 1.5 minutes each, and Mike equally.
One, violence of whichever kind must be frowned upon because, one, it erodes the beauty of engagement. That said, I must say that it is also incumbent upon Moses Kuria and every one of us to always speak out against violence. But it must be remembered that it appears to me that it's the tiger that Kuria had fed that had turned back on him. Because this is someone who threatened an entire community with things that we cannot mention on national tele. Violence of whichever kind must be frowned upon.
Okay.
Going forward, you also said that how do we lift our people out of misery and poverty? I must say that formal state sector jobs continue to be shrinking year after year.
Okay.
And therefore, it is incumbent upon this government and next government and future government to learn to invest create conducive environments for ordinary people to enterprise. Because that is where we would be able to absorb the rising numbers of graduates. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Mine will be very, very brief. 3 things. One, when I look at the Kitui debacle, I have 3 things to say. One, we cannot glorify violence. Because when we glorify violence, we shall be leading society the wrong way. We have families, we have friends, we have relatives, and people who look up to us. If a governor can say that somebody apigwe in a live event, atolewe,
and a mom at that, she's a mom.
That's very bad for this country.
She's not
because that means we are glorifying violence. 2, the BBI brigade, by what happened in Kitui, they are now creating victims where there are none. You see, now Moses Kuria now is the victim. And that is, probably that is what Moses wanted. Now he's a victim. Now he can do his politics. Clearly, you saw what happened to me in Kitui. They made me sit on the soil. It was not even grass. He sat on the soil.
He humiliated me.
Okay.
That is that is quite something. The third thing I want to say is, when you allow such sideshows like harassing people in your meeting, you know what you inadvertently do? You make your big issues to get overshadowed. So today, what was the takeaway from Kitui is the beating of Moses Kuria. It is not anything of substance that was discussed at that. Because somebody miscalculated and harassed Moses Kuria at that rally. So we don't know what was discussed.
But as much as
we are only discussing the Kuria thing.
crowds are always gullible, sometimes you get renewed faith in humanity. Because with the Moses Kuria incident, it is all the crowd that was there that said, no, 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 return him, na apewe kiti. It was a proud crowd. How they reasoned that way, I don't understand, but it was extremely impressive and must be commended.
And hopefully Kenyans will reason that way when they head to the ballot in
Indeed.
2022.
Exactly.
The much needed paradigm shift in the
That's
country.
the point.
Benji Ndolo, political commentator, senior for that matter.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank
Good
you very
morning.
much.
I do appreciate your time.
Good
Asante.
week ahead. Asante.
Asante sana. Thank you. At the center is Kidi Mwaga, lawyer, advocate of the High Court. Asante sana. Thank you so much. We hope a lot comes with the revolutionization of KANU.
Yes.
And
yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
KANU is the future. That I must say.
Michael Leo, public policy analyst, thank you so much for coming. I do appreciate your time. Asante sana, gentlemen.
Thank you, and wish me a safe journey. I'll be going to Kisumu tomorrow.
Kisumu.
The only city in Kenya.
That is where my English teacher comes from. So
I have a conference there starting tomorrow.
Asante sana.
Salimiana huko.
Okay.
Thank you, I will.
And thank you to you two for watching the program. The number has been 0791478990. The hashtag on Twitter is NewDayKE. The short SMS code is 40920. In about an hour's time, Winnie Lubembe will be here with my doctor. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Good morning.